window of Bairee's mind.
David, why did you choose Charles Darwin?
He inspires me because he made sense out of the natural world. And not only just physical sense of why animals have antlers or why birds have fine feathers, but to suggest the mechanism which led to all these multiplicity of forms. And that's a huge change in the mindset. He was intellectually bold in himself, but he wasn't aggressive because I think he knew that the majority of the society would find it deeply blasphemous to suggest that we were descended from simian ancestors.
He was a wonderful writer as well, wasn't he?
Absolutely, sir. I mean, this book, this is the first edition of The Origin of Species. And what is marvelous about it is that anybody can read any page and it makes absolute sense to them. It's not full of jargon, it's full of argument and observation. And that's another reason why I admire him so much. There is grandeur in this view of life, with its several powers having been originally breathed into a few forms or into one. And that, whilst this planet has gone cycling on according to the fixed law of gravity, from so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and are being evolved.
They're coming to think. They're coming to hear about what we know about the universe and nature. And I think I'm not surprised people are interested, because these are questions that everybody asks. Just why am I here? Everybody's sat there asking that question. But my point is that there is a framework. There's a framework of knowledge. There are things we know about the universe. So it is true that scientists are not going to tell you why you're here. They're not going to tell you what the meaning of life is. But there is actually there are things you need to know if you want to start to explore those questions for yourself. You need to know that there are 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. You need to know that the Milky Way galaxy has got 200 billion stars. Most of those stars now we know have planetary systems. We estimate there are something like 20 billion Earth-like planets, or potentially Earth-like planets, in the Milky Way galaxy alone. So if you're asking questions about what is my place in the universe, you need to know those things, first of all. It's a framework within which you can think.
When you get to those numbers, when you're talking about trillions and billions and all those zeros, my brain just goes numb. There's this lack of comprehension that I'm well aware of. Like those numbers get thrown about, I go, oh, 200 billion.
No,
And it just...
I think everybody does. I think every scientist no scientist can picture that number. I mean, even the small number, 200 billion, which is the number of stars in one galaxy. And then when you say 2 trillion galaxies, that's... I challenge anyone to be able to picture that. But it is the reality that we've observed.
I am the same as the trees, as the grass, as the other animals in this biosphere held by Earth. I'm not separate and apart from them. I'm the same. I am uplifted because I am the same, not because I'm different. The atoms of your body are traceable to stars that manufactured them in the core, in the crucibles of the thermonuclear fusion inside the cores of stars. And these stars exploded, scattered these elements across the galaxy into the next generation gas clouds that then collapsed, formed star systems with ingredients that can now make planets, with planets that now have ingredients that can now make life. We are alive in this universe. And because our atoms are traceable to the universe itself, the universe is alive within us. You are special, not because you're different from the universe. You are special because you are the same as the universe. To me, that borders on spiritual. We are not figuratively, but literally stardust.
Imagine that we're the only place where there is intelligence in this galaxy. And how should we behave?
Right.
Should we actually, notwithstanding the fact that we're tiny and fragile things and insignificant physically, should we consider ourselves extremely valuable in that respect? Because there's nowhere else where, I would go as far as to say there would be nowhere else where meaning exists in the Milky Way. Because meaning is one of those things that scientists don't talk about very much, although Richard Feynman, one of my great heroes, did talk about it. There's a quote where he says, "What is the meaning of it all?" It's a great essay called The Value of Science. And so what is self-evidently true is that meaning exists here because it means something to us. So that's kind of an obvious statement. Your life means something to you and me, and so meaning exists. But I think it is a local and temporary phenomenon. I think it emerges. Meaning emerges from configurations of atoms, which is what we are. We are simply that. We're nothing more than that. We're very, very rare configurations of atoms, I think. And so that means that we are, if you go all the way down that line of logic, we are the only island of meaning in the galaxy.
Meaning only to ourselves.
Yeah.
It means something to us because
Yeah.
we're the only ones who can grasp the concept, and we are finite. We are a finite organism. We have this temporary existence while we're here, and to us, there is meaning.
Yeah. And I don't know any other way to define it.
Right.
So I'll define it like that.
Yes.
I don't think there's global, otherwise you have to believe there's some kind of global meaning and that's a God type thing. And I don't think I think it's more wonderful and more challenging to us, because we have to take responsibility for it, to say we should operate such that we are it in this galaxy. There's nothing else. I'm sure there are other civilizations out there in the universe, because there are 2 trillion galaxies. I just can't believe this hasn't happened in other places. The question is, how often does it happen, and how widely spaced are the civilizations? And I think they're very widely spaced, and I think there may be 1 or 2 per galaxy on the average. But that, as you said, what you said it beautifully. That what else can we think?
Right.
What else do you want? I mean, I think what it says is you have to take responsibility for all those things, those spiritual things that you think about and the emotional things you think about. You are responsible for that. You are that, right? That, whatever that is, it exists in you, and it will only exist for a short amount of time. And so, make the best of it.
It's so unbelievably compelling, though, to consider the idea that somewhere out there, there's another civilization that may be even more advanced than us. And this thought of it is just so attractive. It's incredible.